We slightly delayed this Monday morning, but fortunately we're on the internet. We're not holding up some TV schedule. The Final Four is set, Ari. It is set. We have our matchups, Florida and Auburn, Duke and Houston, headed to San Antonio. We're headed to San Antonio thanks to our friends at Whataburger. We'll be actually broadcasting outside the Alamo Dome, within sight of the Alamo Dome on Saturday, as you get ready for the games.
What a graphic! What a day! We need to retake that picture because I'm tired of looking at it. I look like a serial killer that ate 28 donuts before I killed somebody. But other than that, well, maybe that's good for the graphic. But yeah, I'm happy that you got your fridge fixed or delivered. And I'm
that was the delay. My fridge died last week. We scheduled the delivery of the new fridge for Saturday when it wouldn't interfere with the show. And then the truck broke down on Saturday, pushing it to today. And here we are. But I have a fridge. It is currently cooling down. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I want to make an announcement because I'm going to be getting a special delivery this week. Anybody who's listened to our show for the past 5 years has known that I've wanted to buy a Mercedes R129 SL500 from the 90s, early 2000s, and I finally bought one. And it's getting delivered at some point this week from Virginia. So I cannot be happier. And I just wanted to announce that because I'm just excited and I can't wait. So I got it. And my wife, I told her I bought it. She sent me a text back that said, congrats, period. So I don't know how she's feeling about it.
Not congrats, exclamation point. Congrats, period.
Yeah, and I also found out that if you have a classic car that you only plan to drive, once every few weeks, that insuring it's very cheap. So everything's good. Congrats. But all right, I'm super excited to talk about basketball. I watched a lot of basketball this weekend.
Yes.
I was out of town for a few days, but I was definitely keeping tabs. And I thought it was very high level basketball. And I got a take for you on the rip. And I know we've talked about this on the show in the past. But like these games are better without Cinderella. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know that everybody wants Cinderella.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you on that. And
yeah,
it's funny because I was going to shout out our guy James Fletcher III from On Three,
right.
Our bracketologist. He was exactly right. He called this. We're like, all number ones in the Final Four. What are you doing? No, that's not going to happen. It's only happened once in 2008. Well, it happened again. And also, I will point out, Ari, in 2008, we got a buzzer beater in the national championship game. Mario Chalmers for Kansas hitting the buzzer beater. Mario's miracle. Like, if that happens, that's fantastic.
Is that the lowest point in sports? Losing in a national title game on a buzzer beater? I know we have second and 26, but like
the lowest point is what happened with Villanova and North Carolina. That's the lowest point. The lowest point is North Carolina hits the shot with however many seconds to go, and you're sure you've won. And then Chris Jenkins hits the buzzer beater.
Yeah. Because the buzzer beater thing is just like, you guys were even. And I know losing early on in the tournament on a buzzer beater stinks, but losing on that stage is like, if you would have missed or we would have made one more free throw or whatever, it's just terrible. And I keep losing live bets like that that have no impact on the game. So that's good. But it's very entertaining. And I think that the basketball, from what I've seen, and, I went to Vegas for the first week and I watched a bunch of the basketball, and I thought that the quality of basketball has progressively gotten better every weekend. I watched the Duke Arizona game.
The Houston Tennessee game might not count, but the other Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games feel like that
this is going to feed into a take that I have about Duke later when we talk about Duke. But I watched the Duke Arizona game, and it was just highly entertaining, action-packed basketball. And like this, and the thing that I've noticed too is that a lot of the overs are hitting. And I think that maybe it just feels that way because people are scoring, and things look cleaner when you have high quality teams at the end. So
I say Duke, Florida, and Auburn, all of them highly skilled and multiple ways to score against you. Now Houston, more than usual ways to score, but probably not the same level as the other three in terms of how many different ways they can put up points.
Yeah. So, but I think it was a great trade-off. No Cinderellas, better basketball now. And I think that, the Final Four with basketball is a football Final Four. The right 4 teams are in it. And, I always like the thing that I think is cool about the basketball tournament, but also is kind of crappy about it at the same time, is that I feel like, again, limited knowledge, not a great frame of history here, but it's really hard for the best team to actually win this tournament. A lot of times it's a team that catches the breaks or gets hot. Like in football, the team who wins the national championship is always the best team. Like, have we ever, at least in the playoff era, finished a college football season and been like, yeah, the best team didn't win? No, it's like,
No.
It's just the best team always wins. And in basketball, it's like the hottest team. And I think that Major League Baseball mirrors that a little bit too, because you have 162 games of averages playing out, and math is the most important in baseball.
You also have best of 7 series, which Major League Baseball, the NHL, and the NBA have over
you
these other
determine
things.
You determine the entire season, which is a marathon. 162 games. Who's the you go through cold streaks, you go through hot streaks, but through 162 games, when you get to game 162, your average is who you are. And when you get to a 7-game series, you could get cold, and that doesn't necessarily, because baseball is about getting cold, right? I mean, everybody gets cold at times, and everybody gets hot at times. And I think that it's easier for lower seeded teams in Major League Baseball to get hot at the right time, and because the gap between the best and the worst team in the playoffs is probably how good your pitcher is. And I'm no Major League Baseball expert, but the math doesn't equate from the way that we crown the seeding to how we crown the champion in baseball. Those two things don't jive to me. So like it's Doug Maurice is a crazy person, but his thing was like, you should have 162 games season, and then like the World Series should be like a 32 game series where like everything just bears out the right way. But this is cool, and I think that whoever wins this will unequivocally be the best team. And I think that's what's exciting, and they're all really good teams. Your Florida boys had me shook a little bit.
The Walter Clayton Jr. shot where he had it in the lane and then dribbled out past the top of the key and hits that 3 was incredible. I believe that tied it. And by the way, fact checking Kellen Johnson in the chat, the UNC shot tied it against Villanova. Didn't put them in the lead, tied it, and then Chris Jenkins broke the tie to win the game with the buzzer beater. So, but yeah, that Walter Clayton Jr. shot, because that's one of those like, no, yes. And I was
like the one where he dribbled out from the key and then turned around and just shot it.
Yes,
with someone
and
in his face. Yeah.
And I'm surrounded, like I'm a Florida grad. A lot of people I work with live around our Florida grads. And so I'm with a ton of Florida fans, including my son and all his friends who are huge Florida fans. And they were screaming like, no. And then just boom. Whoa.
Yeah. The thing about that game, and I guess I shouldn't be telling you this as I try to get insurance for a car, but I was on the way to the airport, and I was on Florida minus, what was it, 6.5 to start the game. Yeah. And then I hit them 3.5 to 1. And when they were down by 10 with 5 minutes left. So
on the money line?
Yeah, just to win. Just try to get my money back. Never say die, dude. Okay. And I was going down with Florida either way. They got their butts kicked in that game for 35 minutes. Like, didn't they? Like, I mean, and then they just went scorched earth mode in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But yes, Florida's awesome. Duke's awesome. Auburn's awesome. Houston's awesome. I think this is going to be great. And I'm super excited that we have the opportunity to go down there and be in the vibes of it too. And we're going to watch the games, and I'm going to put you on notice right now. I should have listened to Seth Davis when he was on the call, but like, I don't think anybody's beating Duke. So I don't know if that's a good segue to I think, or if you want to keep going in the other direction, but that's where I'm at with this.
Well, I say, let's put a pin in that for a second. I'm excited to talk about those games, but I think the Duke thing's a really interesting conversation, but we actually have some news. So later in the show, we're going to preview both of those Final Four games, but right now we got to talk about a little breaking news, Ari. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
New head football coach at Stanford. Maybe for this year, maybe forever. Frank Reich has been hired. And of course, our On3 graphic says rental. It's a 1-season agreement. So Frank Reich will do what Jim Grove did at Baylor that one year, where he's going to be in place, and he's got he'll take over the existing staff. But Frank Reich, former Colts coach, former Panthers coach, didn't go well with the Panthers. Went pretty well with the Colts, other than, well, there was the whole Andrew Luck retiring part that made things difficult. But Frank Reich is a pretty accomplished coach and pretty good with quarterbacks. So we'll see how he does in college.
Do you think that this is like repayment from Andrew Luck? I mean, like, hey, sorry, I messed up your NFL career. Here's another shot. Like, is that what this is?
I think that may be part of it. Frank, I feel a little guilty. How about we rekindle things and you get your fresh start here?
How many current acting NFL head coaches would survive if their star quarterback just retired out of nowhere?
Like, Andy Reid is fantastic, but
yeah, it's like Mahomes is like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't think so, because then who are you left? Well, right now it's Carson Wentz, right? Like, Andy Reid,
yeah.
We got to draft somebody right now.
And like the thing that we talked about with like Ryan Day going into the season about like built up equity in college does not exist in the NFL, right? Like, Andy Reid has as much equity in Kansas City as any head coach has probably ever had. And I feel like if he had 2 awful seasons, he'd be on the hot seat. Like, there's no what have you done for me at all in the NFL. It's always like, what is the last 17 games look like? But Alex Smith was a pretty good quarterback too. I know he won 13 games, but Alex Smith wasn't bad in the NFL. I know he had injury issues.
No, Alex Smith under Andy Reid was awesome. And then, the what happened after that was injuries. It wasn't necessarily Alex Smith's fault.
But so, I like this hire or this position because you want to put somebody who has been in charge in tumultuous situations, but also has coached at the highest level and might be pretty aligned with the person who's going to be making the call. Like, I don't know that, did Stanford probably wasn't going to go out and do better at this point in the calendar, right? Like, I mean, we're in April tomorrow.
No.
So, I think this is probably as good as it can get. And hopefully, he'll just be like a popular person in the building that can get vibes back up, because I'm assuming that vibes are pretty low right there.
Yeah. Vance in the chat. Reich is doing this to maintain the buyout money from Tepper. Remember, Frank Reich got fired in year 1 with the Panthers, which was probably a blessed relief because that owner seems very difficult to work for. But yes, he still owed quite a bit of money on that contract. And so them making very clear this is 1 year helps with that.
The thing, too, that I think is interesting about that is, like, wasn't the team that he got fired from the worst NFL team in the history of the world? Well, maybe not. Browns teams probably have beaten it in the past, but, like, there were no good players on that team. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Were there good players on that team? Am I forgetting somebody?
They traded away the best player, DJ Moore, so that they could then trade away all the draft picks that would have allowed them to get more good players so they could move up and take Bryce Young, who may work out, actually, but wasn't working out at that time.
But it also wasn't working out because all their capital was gone. They had no, like, Bryce Young's rookie season they had no players.
They're correct. And they'd had the fire sale, like they'd gotten rid of they traded McCaffrey the year before. Yeah. And so, yes, it was a tough situation for Frank Reich, who's had essentially been thrust into a couple tough situations as an NFL head coach. So now is his chance to start over as a head coach, cleanse the palate with a year at Stanford, which is not going to be an easy year because, I mean, they lost a bunch of guys through the portal. Their best edge rusher hit the portal this past weekend. Like, they're Ashton Daniels, who started games at quarterback for them last year. He's at Auburn now. Like, that, they've lost a lot of players in the portal.
Yeah.
This is going to be an easy year.
Yeah. And the 1 year
with BYU as a non-conference game and Notre Dame, obviously.
The 1 year stint too, without the ability to improve your roster, is a rough go of it. So, like, I hope that we can grade his performance with the proper context too, because it's like, what's he supposed to do? Like, at this point, like, they have the spring portal window, so maybe they can get some guys, but like, at this point, you kind of are who you are. So, good luck and Godspeed.
Well, I gotta say, Frank Reich, I really liked him as a coach. When I'd see him interviewed. I used to hate Frank Reich so much because I grew up a Dolphins fan, and he was Jim Kelly's backup in Buffalo. And it felt like it didn't matter because like Jim Kelly would get hurt and then Frank Reich would just come in and beat the Dolphins too. It was very annoying. So he turned out to be a very nice guy, but it's one of those like when you're a kid and you just don't like this guy, it's hard to change that.
Yeah. It is kind of funny how your childhood memories form your opinions of people. I don't like all the people from when I was a kid I didn't like. I don't even really remember. So I'm trying to think like people I hated.
Like I was cheering so hard against the Bills because they were obviously the Dolphins' AFC East rival when they played the game against the Oilers in the playoffs, and the Oilers go up 35-3, and Reich brings them back for a 41-38 win in overtime. Like he just made me so mad that day.
I didn't like Brett Favre as a kid because all the kids that went to school with me, like being in Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals sucked. So all my friends were like Cowboys and Packers fans because that was what was cool. And I just had too many friends that were like Packers fans. And when you're a kid, you just want your friends' teams to lose. And Brett Favre was awesome at that time. And now it turns out that it's okay to hate him. So it's actually carried over quite well. I don't know if he's going to be getting any coaching jobs anytime soon. But yeah, that's who I didn't like when I was a kid.
Yeah, the Andrew Luck conversation. And so I'm assuming like this tells us how involved Andrew Luck is. And obviously Stanford is without an AD right now. Bernard Muir isn't officially done yet, but he's done. So this is definitely Andrew Luck doing this. So we're getting more data on a GM being in control of a college football program, which is, again, this is the first time we're seeing this and whether it works or not.
Yeah. And also, too, like the thing that's interesting about this whole angle is that like Andrew Luck, if in charge and while in charge, has tentacles in the NFL and has relationships. It's like, I don't know how many other places, like if Andrew Luck wasn't there, would he even consider going to Stanford?
No, I mean, I don't even think they would think of the name.
But do you think he would even like, yeah, okay, I'll go to Stanford for a year? Like,
yeah, it makes sense, but no, I mean that I don't even think the connection gets made. Like this is a situation where he coached Andrew Luck for a year, and then Andrew Luck shockingly retires, and it basically Andrew Luck retiring probably torpedoed Frank Reich's head coaching career, and I think Andrew Luck probably understands that, and this is him giving him another shot.
Yeah, I ruined your NFL career. Why don't you come to Stanford that's already behind the 8-ball and just like do your best? Good luck. Like he should go be the offensive coordinator for somebody who's already established and just go through rehab that way. I don't know. This is going to be tough. Rental is a tough look.
It'll be fun though because two places in the ACC now where we're seeing an NFL mind take over against college. And you and I have had this discussion with regard to Bill Belichick at North Carolina. I don't think necessarily just because people have been in the NFL or even with Bill Belichick, who's the best NFL coach of all time, that they just come in and coach circles around the college coaches when the college coaches have better players than them.
Right. It would be really funny if Reich just like did everything that Belichick did.
Yeah.
You talk about like him, Belichick cheating off of Jed Fish's paper. Wouldn't it be funny if like Frank Reich just turned in Belichick's paper, didn't even cheat off of it, just like all the things that he
amazing.
Did. He doesn't have. I mean, he has everything that Bill.
He can't
Belichick
hire his own
doing.
staff like Belichick did.
Yeah, and Belichick also his contributions to North Carolina are probably going to be. I think probably even in his mind, I think he probably feels like he's going to be able to coach circles around people, but like how he accumulates talent and builds that roster is going to be
right.
His main contribution to that. And I don't know that Reich has that opportunity. I mean, maybe a little one if you count the spring window, but the spring window is going to be dry as hell, isn't it?
It is, especially for a team like Stanford. Now, you will probably have an opportunity to get some guys who are leaving power conference programs because they're not winning starting jobs. So if you can do it wisely, you may be able to get some guys you can plug in and play. You mentioned Belichick. Saturday, November 8th in Chapel Hill, Frank Reich versus Bill Belichick. A matchup we've seen before in the NFL.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's funny.
Frank Reich was the OC, by the way, on the Philly Special Eagles. So I'm sure Belichick's going to try to have something for him.
Oh, nice connection there. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be fun. It will be interesting to see how this all shakes out. You know, we have talked about this job. What Frank Reich is doing here is not the job we've talked about. We're talking about whoever it is that is Stanford's coach in 2026 and beyond, whether Stanford can get its alums involved, really get the money going. It could be a good job, but we'll see. And Frank Reich is going to try to hold it together for a year.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. I'm excited to watch, and I'm excited to see NFL matchups.
Oh yeah,
because Bill Belichick is a coach in college.
I know.
Are we just taking that for granted now? Like that Bill Belichick is North Carolina's coach,
right? And Frank Reich was coaching an NFL team 2 years ago, and now he's a college head coach, rented for a year.
That's funny.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, college rentals is going to be an interesting concept.
Ari, we're going to San Antonio. We already know that. If you want to go to San Antonio, if your team's in the Final Four, or you just want to see some great basketball, because this all chalk Final Four thing, as Ari pointed out, is going to be high level, high quality games. So if you want to go to San Antonio, get yourself on the Gametime app, download it, hit that GT Picks feature to get the best deals relative to the market. Listen, the good seats, they're not cheap because these are good games. So a session on Saturday, you're talking about maybe $500 for a sideline view type seat, but you're going to see some.
You get 2 games though.
Action.
You get 2 games.
Yes.
I want to go. Man. I want to go.
Well, maybe. Hey, but look, we'll hit the game. We can hit the Gametime app after our show.
Yeah,
and
just see what it is. Yeah.
Now I've already used my code. I used my code when we bought Taylor Swift tickets, but because you can only do it on your first purchase. But if you have not made your first purchase, or if Producer River hasn't made his first purchase, you have. Producer River, we'll make sure. He may have done it too.
Can I use Producer Rivers?
Yeah. Use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. But that's best deal going. And Gametime will make sure you do get the best deal. Hit that GT Picks button as you look at your tickets, and you will find the best deal. And it doesn't have to be the Final Four. It could be a comedy show. Like Ari saw David Spade and Shane Gillis not long ago.
I did.
Whoever you want to see. When I went to San Antonio to look up Final Four tickets, there's a Jelly Roll show coming to San Antonio. Like, I would love to see Jelly Roll in concert. It'd be incredible.
Does he have more than that one song? Does he have a good
Jelly Roll?
Yeah.
Dude, he's got 30 bangers.
Oh, 30.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Download the Gametime app. Use the code STAPLES when you go see Jelly Roll or the Final Four. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, Ari. Let's stay in the world of college football coaching for a minute. We're going to have our previews of Florida Auburn and Duke Houston later in the show. But you have a theory that you want to walk out to me. And we didn't get a chance to talk about Deion and his contract extension on Friday. I put out a video, you wrote a column, but it happened after Friday's show. So we have not really had a chance to address it on the show. 5-year, $54 million extension. Shockingly, $10 million more than he made in his entire career as an NFL player, which is an example of how much salaries have changed in the NFL, but also wow, because he was the best cornerback for most of that time. But Ari, what did this say to you?
Yeah, okay. I wrote a column about this when it happened the day of, and I wanted to say thank you for going live alone a few times while I was dealing with some family stuff. So I really appreciate that. You did a great job, and I was listening along, and it felt good. I almost heckled you at one point.
You should have.
Yeah, I should have just been like, you're an idiot. This is no.
When I'm saying that Coach Prime's still a bargain, and you want to see me do math live on the show?
I did.
Go back and watch that Coach Prime video, because I explained to you, just based on the ticket sales, why he's paying for himself. But go ahead, Ari.
Yeah, the funniest thing about that was that video could have been 40 seconds, but you did a really good job of explaining it, because
how dare you tell people how the sausage is made?
No. But if you don't understand that, you did a really good job of laying out. I think that from Colorado's standpoint, it's unequivocally been a success. Now, like on this show, we do a lot of talking about football and how good they can be, but from their investment standpoint, like that's not even a discussion, right? Like that's they're making money hand over fist on this whole thing. So here's my theory, and I don't know if I'm going to be right on this. I've been wrong about Deion the entire way, but I wrote a column on Saturday that's not my theory, which is if you were not bought into Deion Sanders yet, now's the time to do it because he has the benefit of time and, proof of concept. I think that what he did at Colorado last year was incredibly impressive. And granted, I know that he had Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on the team, and that goes a long way in the Big 12 and helping you win games. But that kind of makes me feel like even more hopeful that if you think that the two players that they had there were the whole thing, that he could get those guys back and has, a 5-star freshman on the roster right now at the quarterback position. But here's my theory. So when he took over at Colorado, I think that Deion Sanders is a look good, feel good person. Can we agree on that? The diamond turf shoes, the gold chain, the gold whistle. Like he is just like
custom blender sunglasses that he has a deal for.
His cleats, the way he played the game. He's a flashy individual. That's a fair thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Deion Sanders coming into this job was probably very fearful, and maybe that's not the right word because he's a confident man, but very on guard to not suck really bad either of the first 2 years, right? Like, I mean, the way that he flipped the roster, he did everything in his power to make a at least functional football team. In year one, I thought they were functional. The bottom fell out a little bit, but of course it did because they didn't have the roster. Year two, I would say that they were good. With me still?
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's already proven, and I think that, there were a lot of people out there that have doubted his ability to coach, let alone roster, all the other stuff, but like Saturday's coaching. Like, I would say that Colorado was a very well-coached team last year. And I don't know if you agree with that, but I thought that they were really fun to watch.
Yeah. And better coached than the previous year. Yes.
Yes. And I thought that, and even with the Sean Lewis stuff in year one, there were a lot of things like, okay, well, he can't handle his coordinators and all this stuff. No, I thought he did a really, really good job last year of when Colorado played. I thought they were well-coached. So now that you know that Deion Sanders isn't just a clown show, or that it isn't a money grab or an experiment or even daddy ball, which are all theories that we've discussed in the past, and that he isn't ready to jump ship from Colorado, which I thought was proven when he went and got Julian Lewis, and now signs this extension. And I know that coaches can still leave after signing extensions. I know that this isn't just like he's going to be there for 5 years no matter what. But if he doesn't have that need to show that he's a good coach or to show that Colorado isn't going to stink, and he actually can build it the right way in the sustainable way, I think that it's possible with this extension and the proof of concept that he's already shown that he and his staff might alter how they go about building their roster. Like, if he is actually planning on being there for 4 or 5 more years, if you think that Travis Hunter and Shedeur were the reason they were good, I don't know that you can go get another Travis Hunter, but he is certainly capable in the high school ranks to load this roster in a way where they could run the Big 12 for the next 5 years. In the discussion of who's going to take over the Big 12 now that Oklahoma and Texas are gone, I think Colorado is specifically situated in a way where we can expect them to get the types of talent that other coaches can't get consistently. Fair enough? So I don't know.
And I also think there's a Deion Sanders. Like we've talked about the Nick Saban discount back in the day. We had a discussion with Steve Wiltfong about, does Georgia get a discount based on the way it puts players in the NFL? I don't think there are a lot of discounts left. I think there might be a Deion Sanders discount because he can put you in line to kind of if you become a superstar at Colorado, he can make you whole by his very presence through what the schools and the athletic directors call "quote unquote" legitimate NIL. Like, you're going to wind up in a KFC commercial. You're going to wind up in all. You saw how many commercials Travis Hunter was in. Like, you're going to wind up in those sorts of situations by proximity to Deion in a way that you don't have by proximity to Ryan Day or proximity to Kirby Smart.
So without the need to flip the roster, because I don't know if this is blasphemous, but if Colorado is not as good as they were last year, I think that's okay, right? Like we're not in like Deion.
Yeah, they've earned a down-ish year. Now, I don't think you can't go back to 1-11, but if they're 6-6 this year, I don't think people are going to feel like the bottom's falling out.
If they were 6-6 last year, people would have been like, okay, this sucks. The experiment's over. Like the fact that they were pushing for the playoff in November kind of gives you an idea that Colorado not only can but should make the playoff during the course of this extension at some point. Now, the question is if he turns on the high school stuff and starts bringing in 5 top 100 players a year, which isn't asking that much. He doesn't need to go out recruit Georgia, but if he starts bringing in guys,
there are not going to be many schools that get 5 top 100 players a year.
How many schools can you count that have signed a 5-star prospect in each of the last 2 classes? I bet you Colorado is maybe 1 of 12. Right.
We need to do that research. That sounds like a column for you.
But like, if you've done that, and you haven't 100% dedicated yourself to the high school ranks, and you have the benefit of time right now, which, by the way, might not have been the case a year or 2 ago, my theory is that I think we could see Colorado alter the way that it feels it needs to build its roster. And that might mean that they don't have an amazing year in this year or even the following year. But by year 3, if he does this for 2 years, Colorado's going to make the playoff and maybe win playoff games. Like, I really do think that that I'm like almost back to where I was when he got hired, which is Deion Sanders is dangerous, and Deion Sanders is going to decide how dangerous his team is. Because I don't know what you think about this, but if he sticks with the portal plan, because I've always been high school, high school, high school, high school, and I don't know if there's been a single program, maybe outside of Florida State, despite getting jobbed by the CFP committee,
Ole Miss,
that has shown that you can win a national championship or make a deep playoff run being this portal heavy. Like, we haven't seen it yet. We've seen teams improve. We've seen teams be very good, but we haven't seen truly great teams do that. The best teams are the ones that have done really well in both. And I think that doesn't mean that Colorado does not continue to portal the hell out of things. But if he can just move 30% over to high school and build this roster with some sustainability and some players that are going to be on the team for 4 years or 3 years, and then go get really exciting pieces in the portal. Like Caden Salter's a great piece, right? Like they can go get and Jordan.
Caden Salter is an example to me of he's not looking at this as a rebuilding year. Right. He's saying, we got Julian Lewis. I don't know that Julian Lewis is ready to play right now, but this guy is super experienced, has won a lot of games. So let's win some games until Julian Lewis is ready.
Yeah. So to boil it down, the theory is now that he's been successful his first 2 years, people know that the investment has paid off financially for the university and that like he has actually done a pretty good job of literally coaching. Maybe he will change his recruiting philosophy. Like, because if he starts doing that and he starts weaponizing high school the way that I've been like screaming about for 3 years, I still think that there is a second gear. I admitted that I was wrong about what he was doing. Obviously, there's no Colorado doubter on earth that can look into the camera right now and say they didn't do an amazing job last year. Like everything that I said was wrong. But like I haven't completely given up on the notion that like the most famous coach in the world, or at least in the sport, shouldn't be recruiting high schools more. And if he has time to build it right, and that built up equity of, hey, look what we've done, he might do it. And if he does, Colorado is so dangerous. Now, Colorado is dangerous right now in the sense that they could portal their way to a playoff team at some point in the next few years. But if you think, I think Colorado could be the favorite to win the Big 12 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row if he starts right now. Then it might take 2 years, but I think they could get to that point.
I think he can make them the most talented team in the Big 12 by virtue of what we've been talking about.
But do you agree with me about the high school stuff? Or do you think I'm just like clinging
John
on to
in the
an
chat
old
says
idea?
He has like 50% high school this year. What are we doing? We're talking about the class of 2025. No, he doesn't. He signed 14 high school players. if you want a comparison, Texas signed 25, Georgia signed 28, Alabama 21, Ohio State 26, Michigan 24. Now Oregon only signed 19. So
yeah,
but
also too,
he is
maybe
moving
even
toward that.
The percentages aren't even like, thank you for backing me up on that. But I think the percentages maybe not even as important as, well, if you get like Carmani McClain and Jordan Seaton and Juju Lewis, then you could, I mean, has he signed a 5-star player every single year, even while
Julian
he's at
Lewis
Jackson
is
State?
not a 5-star industry player.
Yeah.
He went to 4 stars at the end, but
the point remains, has he signed a elite level prospect that was either a 5-star or on the cusp of being a 5-star every single year he's been a coach? I think that he has, right? Even at Jackson State with I don't know about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Travis Hunter, year 1.
Travis Hunter. I don't remember if year 2 at Jackson State he did. I can't remember. But the point is what if he does that with 4 dudes over a 3-year period? I might have been saying go all in on high school. I think it would be great if he did. But even if he goes 30% more over and gets 4 Jordan Seatons in a year, in the Big 12, that makes you nasty. And then supplement it with the portal the way that he's been doing. Like, I actually think that Colorado could win a national title.
Yeah, it makes I don't know about national title. I don't know about national title, but it makes it what you just described would make you the most talented team in the Big 12. Now, you gotta be deeper to compete with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States of the world.
Let me make sure I clarify though, Andy. I don't think he could win the national title if he signed 3 or 4 Jordan Seatons a year. Although I think they would be very good and have a chance.
Oh, you could get close.
I legitimately think that if he hits the cocktail right, and I don't know what the percentage is or what you think the percentage should be, and I would be open to hearing what you think, that he, in theory, could win a national title at Colorado. Like, I don't think that Colorado's ceiling as a program with Deion Sanders is winning the Big 12 and a first-round exit in the playoff. I think their ceiling is a deep run if he can situate the roster based on who he is and how he recruits.
We'll find out. We will find out. But I am excited to see what he can do because we saw it with Shedeur and with Travis Hunter. We saw the Louis luggage. Now he's shopping on Poshmark for some other, luxury brands, but also trying to get the luxury brands that are not yet hot. That would be the ones from high school. That would be your Jordan Seatons and your Juju Lewis's.
What's Juju Lewis though? If he hits though, is that an Hermes bag?
He's exactly. It's a Birkin bag.
Because isn't Louis Vuitton is kind of fake luxury, isn't it?
Right. There are more expensive, and like Ohio State is Hermes, Georgia is Hermes. Yeah,
I know these brands because of my wife and her job.
Exactly.
But like I feel like there is a second gear at Colorado that he has an opportunity to hit if he wants to. Like I think that this is what I've always thought. I think Colorado can go as far as Deion Sanders wants it to. Like, I think it's completely up to him. And I don't know there's a lot of coaches in college football that you could say that about.
I think you're exactly right.
So not a crazy theory, right? Like, do you think it's possible that they change it, or do you think I'm just crazy?
I don't think they're going to change it wholesale. I don't think they're going to suddenly start recruiting exactly the way Georgia recruits. I also don't know that they can because they're not going to have that level of money. But
here's the thing. Do you think they're even going to try to recruit high schools more now?
I think they're going to have to. They're going to try to win, Ari. So they're going to do what they have to do to win. And if that means...
this is the same thing that we've been arguing about, though. Are you buying a house to live in, or are you flipping?
Ari, I know you want him to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it the way you want him to do it.
But now that he wants to live in the house, you want to build it the right way. I bought this car, right? I could go get a new paint job and new rims and reupholster the thing, not touch the engine, and probably flip it for $1,200 or $1,500 profit. But I want to have the car for the rest of my life. So what do I do? He signed an extension. Like, we're not flipping the house anymore. I thought he was flipping it. We're not flipping it anymore.
Ari, he's not going to do it the way you want. He's going to do it his way.
I know.
And it'll be right or wrong. He's going to do it his way.
Can still do it his way at the high school level. Like, his way is
No kidding. That's what we're talking about. It's just a few more per year.
Just go be Deion in a high school hallway with a 5-star player. Please, just do it like 5. Do it 7 times a year. Get 4 of them. You'll win the Big 12 every year. Like, am I nuts? Isn't it that simple? If you think that they did this with 2 players last year, which they didn't, their receivers were awesome and their lines played a lot better.
Well, that's the thing. You act like LeJontay Wester.
I don't.
Didn't come out of the portal last year and play awesome. Like
I don't. I know Wester was awesome. I think Wester, you could make a case, was just as good of a receiver in terms of consistency and production as Travis.
Well, and the other thing is, like, the guys they got out of the portal on the edge were awesome. One of them didn't even get to play that much. He got hurt, and now he's gone to Texas A&M because he flashed when he was there. Like, they did a good job out of the portal. I don't think they're going to.
Have you ever stood?
Let me talk for a second, okay?
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I know you are. I don't think you're going to see the wholesale flips anymore of the roster. I think that's done. It's going to be a much calmer situation for Colorado. That probably lends itself to a little more high school recruiting. Not feeling like you have those immediate needs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, but it's not going to be as wholesale as you want. If he was going to go visit high schools over and over, he would have already done it. Like, you're going to have to accept that he's going to do it the way he wants to do it. Who does the Ari way, Vance asks?
Every single team that's won the national title in my
Kirby
lifetime.
Smart, Ryan Day, Nick Saban did. Like, a lot of people.
Last thing I'm going to say. Have you ever stood behind somebody at the self-checkout at the grocery store and like watch them fumble around and mess it up, and you like know exactly?
Yes.
This isn't. You know that feeling where you feel like I know exactly how to weigh your grapes.
You're saying Deion is the guy at the self-check. You're saying Deion's writing a check in the express lane is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying I have a feeling of like when I'm behind the person at the self-checkout who's struggling, and like I know exactly how things would go if they did it that way. Like I feel that way about Colorado, where it's like they're doing a great job. They're not holding up the line, but they're struggling with one item that I know how to ring out, and I'm telling them how to ring it out. And like, everybody's like, they're not going to ring it out that way. And it's like, my way is right. Like, don't argue with me about whether he's going to do it.
This is not your way.
Yeah, no,
call it like Nick Saban's way or Ryan Day's way.
Ryan Day's way. You know, every single coach that can walk into a hallway and blow the socks off of the entire student body that way. Like, isn't that like, I sometimes feel like I'm taking crazy pills because you're like, he's not going to do it your way. But Andy, I just want you to agree with me that my way or that way is the right way.
I've said it a million times. I don't have, why do I have to keep saying it? I know it is. Okay. He's not going to do it though. Why? It drives me insane. Why? Because he doesn't want to, Ari.
It drives me insane because like I feel like people think I'm a Deion hater, and I'm actually the biggest Deion fan. Like I'm the one who's like, Deion, you're right there, man. Go make a deep
the biggest Deion fan who just compared him to the guy at the self-checkout who doesn't know how to use the self-checkout.
No. I'm saying I'm that feeling that I have. I'm not calling him the person. I'm saying I have the feeling of like, I can fix this. And I feel like I'm telling you in the chat how close they are to being awesome every year. And every single person is like, oh, it's like, come on. Like, do you not see what I see here? Like, it's right there. Just go do that little thing, that little adjustment, and you could be awesome every year.
But people don't do that. People don't do that. Like, what have I said about Lincoln Riley for years? Just call somebody who works at Georgia, ask them how they practice, and then just do that. Is he going to do that? No, he's not going to do that.
The for being a head coach to begin with was his stardom, and he's not weaponizing it fully, and it drives me crazy. But, like, again, I was wrong last year, so maybe he'll win a national title without doing it this way. I don't know. He's awesome.
I hope
Deion
he does,
awesome.
And I hope he brings up the self-checkout thing when he does.
But, like, listen to me. And, like, somebody from a fan site will clip the first part. They're not going to clip this part because it doesn't fit the likes on Twitter. He's awesome. He is so awesome. It's awesome to watch. But Colorado is a thing. He did it. Like, he freaking did it, Andy. Like, I didn't think he would be able to. I thought he would be awesome at the beginning. Then I thought he would suck because he was doing it this way. And then he was still awesome. Now imagine if he just takes that last 20% step, which I know he knows is important. Don't act like it's not important. He knows it's important. If he just does it, they'll be awesome. They will be awesome. That's my take.
Thank you, Ari.
I'm passionate.
I'm glad it gets you excited. I'm glad it gets you pumped up. And I agree with you.
You know what? The self-checkout line probably was bad. You know when your daughter is running around the house and you can see how she's going to fall before she falls and you can't stop it? That's how I feel.
I love the certainty. I love the certainty with people who are clearly better than us at this, but that's okay.
But I used to think that Colorado would fail if he didn't do it. And I was wrong about that. I don't think Colorado's going to fail. I think that they have a really, really high ceiling. And I think their ceiling is if you did like tiers of ceilings, maybe we should do that this year. Programs who have the highest ceilings. I think Colorado with Deion is in the highest tier.
Juan in the chat. Ari, the problem is everybody believes they have the answers and know how to do everything right. The truth is, I am the only person with all the answers. That's right, Juan. So
I've never
when in
done
doubt,
it before.
we were going to ask Juan what to do.
I've never done it before. I've just watched everybody else who has done it do it that way. It's like I don't know how to build an engine, but I know that certain companies know how to do it the best.
Spoken like a man who just has a very old engine coming his way.
It's a very, very good engine, by the way. 41,000 miles on that thing, and it was one of the best Mercedes engines of all time. Had it checked up in Norfolk, Virginia. We're humming, dude. I did all the things that you told me to do. I did all the things that Mackenzie's husband, who, yeah, we can tell the people the story.
Mackenzie from our sales department, her husband is a big car guy. So for those who don't know, we
were having a sales meeting or text string, and I was like, sorry, I was dealing with this. I told everybody I'm trying to buy a classic car. I was distracted. And she goes, do you want my husband's help? He collects classic cars. And I've been waterboarding this guy with text messages for like the last 10 days. 2 weeks. And he's been helping me. I've been sending him the Carfax. I sent him the videos. And he's like, yeah, dude, buy it. It's awesome. I was like, all right, bro. Thanks, Mackenzie.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Ari, tell everybody about the car. I got to go grab something real quick.
Okay.
Be right back.
I wish I could like send River a text. I'm going to send you a text, River, of the actual car. But it's a pretty sweet looking ride. I don't know where Andy went, but like, this is the dream come true for me. I've wanted this car since Liar Liar came out, since I was a kid. And I've been, looking and scoping, and I finally found one in the right price range that is basically, I bought it from a collector. It's been taken care of. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to take pictures of it. I think I'm going to take photography, River, with it. And I'm going to try to take cool pictures and stuff. My hope here, River, is that Andy left because he's so enraged by my Colorado talk. What's your opinion?
I don't know.
Are you with me?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on board with it. He's just got to go do it.
He's not with you. I hear you talking behind my back. Also,
classic cars are not from the pre-1940s. Every classic car. I think the actual
the cutoff for the license plate in the state of Florida is 25 years old. So you're about there. What I was doing was getting this bottle of Huel Black Edition because I got to tell you about 35 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, 27 vitamins and minerals, complete nutrition in a bottle right here. The world's #1 complete nutrition. You drink one of these in the morning when you're busy, you don't have time to cook breakfast. It's going to get you through to lunch. You take this to work because you don't have time to make lunch. Maybe your schedule's so packed, you just, all you can do is grab and drink. It's going to get you to dinner. It's amazing. Huel's #1 complete nutrition in the world. Use the code STAPLES15 to get 15% off your first purchase of $75 or more, plus a free gift, which, if it's the same one I got, it is the Huel t-shirt, which is the greatest workout t-shirt of all time. So go to Huel.com, code STAPLES15, 15% off your first purchase of $75 or more. Ari, let us now transport our minds to San Antonio. Actually, before we do that, Matthew asked the question, Ari, is it the Liar Liar car? It is indeed the Liar Liar car.
Yeah, silver.
He
I
wants
sent a
the same
picture to River.
Lexus plate.
I sent a picture to River. I'm going to do a vanity plate that has the same exact license plate that he had in Liar Liar, which is just a bunch of numbers and letters. No one's going to know. That's it right there. Isn't she pretty?
Beautiful. All right. Let us transport our minds back to San Antonio, which is where the basketball teams from Florida, Auburn, Duke, and Houston are headed. We need to make our predictions on these games. We've seen the lines now. We've seen the lines to win the national championship. Duke is almost an even money favorite to win the national championship.
Is that what it is? Because I've been refreshing my page.
Duke's plus 105 as of this morning.
Oh, just so you know, we're going to be on high alert this entire weekend because I'm going to hammer that. That's because I think it's going to happen. So, which is a good segue to maybe the Duke.
Let's start with Duke Houston. Let us start with Duke Houston because this is one of those things where I watched Duke against Alabama on Saturday, and Alabama is a really good team. Like, we watched Alabama just torch BYU with an NCAA record number of three-pointers for a game. And then Duke just little boyed Alabama. Like, just it's like, you know, putting your hand on the guy's head and he just swings and nothing happens. Because Duke has so many ways to beat you. And that's the scary part about Duke. It feels like no matter who they play, whether, you know, they're playing Houston first, if they beat Houston, they're going to play Florida or Auburn. But no matter who they play, they've got more firepower than anybody else.
Okay, so here's my take, prisoner of the moment take. And I tweeted about it the other night. You might have already seen it, so this won't surprise you. But I feel like as a person with limited historical background on basketball, like when you were talking about that Villanova shot, like I remember it happening, but I wouldn't have been able to recall it on my own. I gamble on the games, I watch the games, but I don't like retain it. But I feel like Duke this year is maybe the best college basketball team I've ever seen. And I know that there will be people who are like, yeah, well, last year's team was awesome, and teams that had 5 future NBA players on it. I'm not saying it is the best team. I'm saying from my experience watching college basketball, I don't think I've ever seen a more functional college team.
It is among the most talented, like purely talented, kind of the pieces all fit together, right? You're not being a prisoner of the moment saying that. There
here's the reason, though.
Examples of teams that were maybe more talented, but this is in the conversation.
College basketball, to me, and maybe it's because I bet incessantly on like mid-majors in January that play on Tuesday night on channels that aren't national. But college basketball to me is like sloppy and frantic a lot. It feels like chickens with their heads cut off a lot of the times. I don't know if you get this feeling when you're watching it, because I watch a lot of NBA, especially.
Oh no, even the Elite Eight game between Houston and Tennessee. Now Houston dominated that game, but there was a period where Houston shots weren't falling either, and it was just miserable to watch. Like nobody could do anything right.
You've got unforced turnovers and weird mistakes and clanks all the time, and like, I feel like college basketball looks so much different from the NBA when you compare college football to the NFL. Like, college football at the highest level, I feel like looks and resembles more of what you would see on Sundays than college basketball does for the NBA. Maybe it's because the NBA, just if you make it, everybody makes every shot they shoot. I don't know what it is.
But the NBA, people don't miss open shots, and they sometimes throw bad passes, but rarely.
Yeah, but also, too, I feel like in the NBA, they run more offensive sets. Like, I feel like in college basketball, all the sets look the same. And, like, the team that wins is usually the one that scores the most sloppy buckets and transition and all these things. And I'll say that, like, everything that Duke does feels intentional. It feels like they run offensive sets. They are in control. They play like an NBA team, to me.
And they look like an NBA team because they've got these guys that they would be, traditional big men in college basketball and other places. Like Cooper Flagg is 6'9". He's taller than most of Houston's post players. Like when Houston's got Arsenault in the game, who's 6'6". Now he's really long, but he's 6'6". Juwan Roberts is their best post player, 6'8". Like Cooper Flagg is taller than both of them, but he can also handle the ball, break a press, do all of the things, like run your offense through him. And that's a huge difference. Konkanippel's 6'7" and can do all of those things. Is it a 91% free throw shooter? Yeah.
About Knippel, because I love his last name and I've been saying it a lot
Knippel.
for no reason. You know, like, so is he an NBA guy? Like, is he going to play in the league for a long time, or is he like the classic great college player?
No, he's going to play in the NBA. He's a freshman. Okay. He's going to be a lottery pick. Yeah.
Okay. Because he, like, everybody talks about Cooper Flagg. That kid is insanely good. And, like, I know that Duke is, like, aren't they like 6'7" and taller at every position? Isn't that like the thing with them? Like,
their shortest starter 6'6".
Yeah. So, like, they're just like a hard team to defend or to match up with because they're just so huge. But I feel like Cooper Flagg, when he's playing, if he is, when he gets going, or if he's going to take a shot, like, I feel like the man doesn't miss. Like, it doesn't feel like you're watching college basketball when you're watching Duke. And Duke was playing Alabama, a team that I saw shoot like 99% from 3 2 nights ago. And right. I know that maybe they ended up.
If you watch my preview video, you know why Alabama couldn't hit threes, because BYU's small. They went under every ball screen. Duke doesn't have to go under ball screens. They're just coming out on the perimeter and putting a hand in your face.
And Alabama also too missed. I mean, they took a ton of threes from far away. They had open looks. I just think it's hard to shoot that well in 2 games in a row, especially when you're playing against a team that's physical, which is why I loved the under in that game. And then I also, but they made a very good team who can score 90 points against just about anybody in college basketball look like they had no shot. Like, to me, if they're even money to win the national championship, that's probably not great odds considering they've got to beat 2 1 seeds on the way to it. But I just do not see a team beating them this year. And I really, and like the thing too is like, prisoner of the moment or not, like a lot of people disagreed. And like Ralph Russo said, you know, UNC once had a team with 3 Hall of Famers and 2 of them were upperclassmen. I'm sure that was like one of the Jordan teams. Like I get like there's probably teams that have had more like recognizable NBA names on it than this. But I'm saying from my experience watching college basketball, again, which isn't as extensive, which maybe a lot of people in this chat, I've never watched a team and just go, that team is not losing. Like they're just too good. Like,
well, and so
in my life,
the question is, how does Houston beat them if it is to happen? And it's got to be partly what we saw against Tennessee, where they just locked them down. Kelvin Sampson basically told them to trust themselves when they were getting run through. Because what Tennessee does is they'll run you through the picket fence of off-ball screens, where it's like if you're trying to defend a guy who doesn't have the ball, you're chasing him, and it's like boom, 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 like Sideshow Bob with the rakes on The Simpsons. Like, and so Kelvin Sampson's like, you guys are all old, and they really, Houston's a super old team. You know what you're doing. Trust yourselves. And they did, and they locked Tennessee down. They are going to have to play such good defense against this Duke team because they are going to be physically overmatched at almost every position.
I don't even know if this is like the Duke thing, Andy, but like, I feel like they finished like 7 alley-oops a half because their offensive set was so perfectly ran that there's somebody just flying to the basket uncontested. Like, I feel like they are so well coached on top of the talent, which makes it crazy because like I watched a lot of college basketball during the Coach K years, and they obviously had a lot of great teams, but it's like Duke isn't supposed to be this deep and talented and good and well coached like 2 years after losing the greatest coach of all time. Like, that'd be like if Alabama had like an historically talented run with 7 first-round draft picks on their team like next year. Like, it's not supposed to go this way. And I know that Duke is like a made man in college basketball, but holy crap, man. Like, they are so good. They are so good.
And if Houston doesn't have a great shooting night, like they need LJ Cryer to get hot. They need him to be hot like he was in the Gonzaga game. That Duke's going to do that to everybody. And I can listen, if Duke wins this game and they're going to play Florida or Auburn, I'll probably say the same thing about Florida and Auburn, which by the way, have more offensive options than Houston does. And you're right. This is just a really talented Duke team. And it's probably kind of boring to say you think that Duke's going to win the national title, or you think Duke's going to win this game and move to the national title game. But
the only regret that I have is that I didn't watch Duke play at all during the regular season to realize what they were, so I could have bet them to win it before this thing started. Like, weren't they like 8-1 at one point? Like, I wish I could have gotten 8-1 on
it. Would have been really early because once ACC play hit, it was obvious what this.
I think
what
the
this
pre-tournament
team was.
odds. I think the pre-tournament odds were 8-1.
Was it okay?
which is like way less than most teams. Like, I mean, winning the tournament is hard, but like, I wish I was sitting on an 8-1 ticket now because I'm going to have an even money ticket here by the end of the day once it pops up on my site. Like, I think they're going to, I don't know. And then
the hardest part about picking against Duke is that you can see the options if this guy doesn't, like if Cooper Flag's not hot and Knippel hits a bunch of shots, or if neither of them are hitting, they just go inside to Malawak. Like they have so many different ways to kill you.
How many times has Duke played the opponent's style of basketball? Like
they can play any style they want. That's the scary part.
It's just hard to make them play your game. I don't know. Again, you're listening to a college basketball preview from somebody who, is just checking in right now. But like, it's just, they're awesome. And I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to win fairly comfortably.
I will take Duke to cover in this one as well. They're a 4.5-point favorite. I think Houston, as good as they are offensively compared to recent Kelvin Sampson teams, I just don't know that they're going to be able to get it. Although there's a lot of karma going on, or just kismet going on. Remember, Kelvin Sampson gets fired from Indiana for something that's not against the rules anymore. He goes to San Antonio, where his buddy Greg Popovich is coaching the Spurs, and it's sort of like the football coaches do with Nick Saban. Like he does the Greg Popovich analyst thing, and then spends more time in the NBA as an assistant, comes back and has really just revolutionized this Houston program. They're going to be here almost every year, but I just think they're about to run into a buzzsaw.
You know what I think is interesting about Sampson, Andy, and just college basketball in general? But it seems like all the coaches who get fired for breaking the old rules, or all the coaches who were perceived to be cheaters and that have come back into the sport, are all just, they're back deep in the tournament again. And it's like, how many disgraced coaches in college football? I mean, a lot of times when you're a disgraced coach in college football, you never go back. It's so much harder to be in the postseason at the same level because the NCAA tournament is so much more open to smaller schools. But
Kelvin Sampson is elite. Like he's got Houston among the elite.
But also like Rick Pitino, like one of the greatest coaches of all time. Like a lot of who's the coach we were talking about when I was in Vegas? Who's
Will Wade?
Will Wade, that's right. Like they're just good coaches. Like maybe I don't know, they were cheating at the time.
And Kelvin Sampson used his time away very wisely. I mean, so the play that won them the Sweet 16 game, the inbound play, is one when he was an assistant with the Milwaukee Bucks. He took from Scott Skiles, who was the coach at the time, who had run it for Luke Ridnour. So like he definitely used that time away very wisely and came back a much better coach. And that
was a great play, wasn't it? That was really that was a thing of beauty. I mean,
and it's funny because the announcers immediately like, oh yeah, everybody forgets the inbounder, but you never think to do that. Like, why doesn't everybody run that?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
So
to have an uncontested lay-in in that moment because the play was designed so perfectly. You when you talk about like coaching and what it's like to put your team in a position to win a basketball game, that was like exhibit A of like perfectness. Is that a word? Perfectness?
This is a weekend of really good coaching matchups. You just talked about John Shire. Kelvin Sampson is obviously elite. Let's move on to the other game. But first, I had to talk about our friends at Whataburger. You want to bring home the W? Well, guess what? If you order online April 4th through the 7th, double points, you will definitely bring home the W. The Whataburger tailgate box, 10 burgers, fixins, your choice. All right, I was going through the fixins list. I like the grilled jalapenos. Now you can do both of these. How about this one? You ready? Grilled jalapenos and avocado.
That's a word we don't use enough. Fixins.
Fixins. I hate it when people who aren't from the South try to use it. Whataburger's, born in Texas, now all over the South. They can use it all they want. So I'm telling you, you can customize this burger box, 10 burgers with or without cheese, whatever fixins you want to have in there, you can do that. Also, get a Whata Wings pack, that's 72 boneless bites, your choice of sauce and a family box of French fries. Oh, my goodness. It's beautiful.
What's your take
That's
on
how
the
you bring home the W.
the avocado topping for burgers? Like, you're in?
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Because Whataburger has mushroom Swiss. I mean, you can make it your way, which is great.
Oh, trust me, we're going to be talking about the mushroom Swiss burger all week. So that tomorrow they would like everyone who talks about Whataburger to very much emphasize the mushroom Swiss burger. So get ready for that as well. Yeah. But
are we going to be able to pop down from the truck on Saturday and take a?
We're going to have the Whataburger food truck on Saturday.
That's what I'm saying. Are we going to pop down?
I am requesting that we get to talk to their executive chef because I want to know how they come up with all this stuff. Like, it is awesome. Awesome. So we'll be live in San Antonio on Saturday. Thanks to Whataburger. You can bring home the W while you watch these games. Order online April 4th through 7th. So Friday through Sunday, double points from Whataburger.
You want to know?
Sorry, Saturday through Monday. Bad at math. Bad at dates. Bad at math.
Bad at a lot of things.
Bad at everything.
But not bad at analysis. Andy, if I ever get fired from On3 or I'm not in journalism anymore, I think I would be absolutely awesome at being not a chef, but one of the psychopaths in a fast food room who comes up with a new way to do something. Like, Domino's recently released this stuffed crust for the first time with Parmesan cheese. It's I could have come up with that. And like, everybody's rushing.
Like whoever came with the KFC double down, I know, no buns, just 2 pieces of fried chicken with more meat inside.
What if they locked you and me in a room for 10 hours and said, Ari and Andy,
fast food think tank?
Fast food think tank. Don't you think that by the time we were done,
Ari,
that we would have come up with some crazy stuff? Like, how has no fast food place had a pizza burger?
Ari,
you have two. What?
This is a perfect thing for Friday's show. Ari and Andy's fast food think tank.
Like, 2 pieces of pizza flipped upside down with a burger in the middle. Like, how? Yeah.
I'm in. All right, here we go. We are headed to San Antonio. So are 2 SEC foes, Florida and Auburn, who have played this year. They played in Auburn. Florida won that game by 9. It was a game where Auburn jumped out to a big lead, but by the end of the first half, Florida had a big lead, and then Florida rode it on to a win. But these 2 teams, we were just talking about Duke with all the different ways they can beat you. Both of these teams have many, many different ways to beat you. We talked about Walter Clayton Jr. earlier in the show. Walter Clayton Jr., Florida's point guard, just, cojones the size of the entire city of San Antonio. That the step back, it wasn't even a step back. It was a dribble all the way out, step back 3 that probably won them the game against Texas Tech. Then Auburn, their best player is Janai Broome, who's kind of a classic back-to-the-basket post player. Ari, I screamed when I saw the replay of Janai Broome's injury on Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought he had dislocated his elbow. I thought he was done. I was like, okay, well, there's not much time left, so Auburn may be able to win this game, but if they have to play Florida without Janai Broome, they're done. And then Janai Broome is back in the game with 6 minutes to go.
Shooting free throws to ice the game.
Happy to see him back.
Yeah, so I did the elevator challenge this week, and we've talked about the elevator challenge. But I was sending you and River my plays over the weekend, and the kid got hot. Okay, he got hot. Starting with the Florida money line in the middle of the second half for 3-1, and then we compound it with Duke in the under. And then yesterday morning, I was right on the first game, so I rolled all of that into Michigan State plus 5.5 last night. And I got to tell you, that was painful. Because I'm back to 0. And I really felt like Michigan State had the back door open the entire second half and missed every single big 3 that could have swung the game. Like, every time they had an open look when they were down 9 or down 7 and they shot a 3
Auburn never really let them back.
Never.
And you thought, because Michigan State would get it to about 9, but Auburn would never let them back in. And part of it, like, when Janai Broome comes in and does the Willis Reed thing, that just pumped everybody up. But, I thought Tahad Pettiford played really well this weekend. Like, he's kind of the spark, the one that if he just goes off, I'm not sure how Auburn loses. And you go back to the first Florida Auburn game, like Pettiford had a pretty good game. Broom had a good game. I want to say he had 19 and 11 in that game. Chad Baker-Mazara had a decent game. It wasn't like Auburn did anything wrong there. Florida just hit a lot. I believe they hit 13 threes in that game. And so I think that's where if they can contest some Florida shots, make it where Florida's missing from the outside, force Florida to run the offense inside, because Auburn is bigger inside. So that, your Alex Condons, your Ruben Chinaloo, who does a lot of the dirty work for Florida, but gets a lot of kind of cleanup baskets. You take those away, I think Auburn's got a really good chance in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that the thing that is starting to become apparent as this tournament goes on are the teams that are very physical and, in shape are the ones that are advancing here. And I thought that Texas Tech against Florida was very much controlling the game physically. And then Florida got really hot at the end. And what was it? Like a 15-2 run or something to close the game out, something crazy like that. Auburn, I thought, beat the crap out of Michigan State from a physical standpoint. They were the first to the loose balls,
which is hard to do against a Tom Izzo team. And they did. Dylan Cardwell did a really good job. He's their big post guy, 6'11", 255. And also, I don't know this is where Duke, I think, runs into some the issues Duke might run into, because we talk about Houston being old as hell, but Auburn's old as hell too.
Yeah,
Florida's pretty old as well. But Auburn's really old.
But it's the coaches that have done a really good job of getting their ultra-talented rosters to play like they're the underdog. And I know, and I'm not talking about like psychoanalysis, like pre-game, who's the underdog coach speak. I'm talking about playing like if you don't get that loose ball, you're going to lose. And there are not a lot of teams that do that. And, Texas Tech, as we know, missed a lot of the front ends of the one-on-ones that cost them the game. I think they could have won had they made some of those free throws. And, somebody in the chat here correcting me, it was an 18-4 run in 3 minutes. Like, Florida just exploded offensively. And sometimes that happens.
But you like miss those front end of 1-on-1s. And that, that's the whole point of committing those fouls 7, 8, and 9. Like, you want them to miss the front end of the 1-on-1, so you're stealing possessions.
But I'm actually kind of surprised to see Auburn a dog here. And I know that Florida came into this as we're talking about two of the best teams in the sport coming into this. Yeah. But from a physicality standpoint, I was not impressed with Florida for the first 35 minutes of that game. And again, maybe I'm just like too much into the bet and not so much into the game. But like I was watching it and I was just like, how is Florida getting manhandled by Tech? And Texas Tech is a really good team too. Like I know they were a lowly 3 seed, but like, they were 3 seed in the Big 12. They were a Big 12 team that had beaten Houston, which is no, they're a great team too. Yeah. So it's like that's the thing too. It's not like there were any 11 seeds that were pushing these teams around. Everybody in the tournament, the last weekend was a really, really good basketball team. But I was just so much more impressed with Auburn's physicality over the weekend. And now I think River pointed out too that Auburn had a really good presence. It'll be interesting to see how San Antonio shakes out. But you have
Auburn's showing out in San Antonio. Now, and look, where I live, I know some people who are headed that way to root for Florida. But my guess is Auburn will be the loudest, most passionate group there. Houston will too. Because they're just a short drive away. But in this game, I would think that the Auburn crowd will probably be a little bit bigger.
While I was watching the Florida Tech game, it felt like every time Tech scored, the stadium exploded, and every time Florida scored, it wasn't nearly as loud. And I was like, wow, Texas Tech is like outdoing Florida.
And this is San Francisco. That was a tough trip for both schools. Yeah.
But then when Florida went on their run, Florida fans went insanely loud. So maybe it was hard to tell like how the fan, but like which of these teams, because Florida has a larger fan base than Auburn, right?
It's a bigger school.
Sized.
Yeah, it's a bigger school. So, but I will say there's so many variables with Florida and Auburn because they have so many different ways to beat you. Mudkip plays in the chat. He says Florida hasn't had a complete game this tournament and they're still winning. They beat Auburn without Elijah Martin, which is true. Just need Condon to play better, and Condon and Broom are both injured. That's also true. Alex Condon, who's Florida's most important post player. He defensively, he's the straw that stirs the drink for them, but they also run a lot of their offense through him. He's really important. He rolled his ankle a couple of games ago, but I think he looked okay in the Elite Eight game. And then Broom, obviously the elbow thing, and Broom also has an ankle. So I think it's going to be big, but there are guys who are sort of X factors in here. I mentioned Tahad Pettiford before. He's the lefty freshman guard for Auburn, who's just, I mean, when he goes off, he goes off. And then Thomas Houck for Florida, he's a big, but he can step out and shoot the three. He's not necessarily your big bruiser inside. He's going to play a little more finesse game as a 6'9" guy, but he's a really interesting too. He's at Florida because he was a giant Tim Tebow fan growing up in Pennsylvania. It was like the second Florida offered, he was on it. He's like, no, Tim Tebow is my favorite athlete of all time. And which is wild to think that like a basketball player from Pennsylvania is there because of Tim Tebow. But there you go. Both teams have these X factor guys, and you don't know which one of them is going to go off. I think we can feel safe that Walter Clayton Jr. is going to do some really good stuff for Florida, and that Janai Broom is going to be a load inside that Florida's going to have to deal with for Auburn.
If Broom's excuse me, elbow was dislocated, would he have been able to come back in the game? Or
No,
is the fact that he came back in the game?
Hyperextended. You saw it hyperextend. I'm not a doctor, but you saw that. But no, he's like and he said he's going to be able to play. And you saw him hit threes. You saw him get rebounds after the injury. It looked scary, but I guess he got lucky in that situation where he did not get hurt so bad that he couldn't keep playing. But
can I have a minor criticism of Florida's basketball uniforms?
By all means.
They're all perfect, but drop the F on the shorts and put the gator on it. Like, what are we doing? That's my design take for the day. Like, is there a reason why they have the F on there?
I'm with you because it's the newer F. It's the italicized F, and the top kind of harkens back. Well, no, it's the block F. No, they put the block F on there because these are like Vernon Maxwell era throwbacks, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with repping Vernon Maxwell and Dwayne Shinsis and all those guys. We don't
do a lot of logo talks, but like Florida has one of the best logos in college athletics, right?
I like the block F better than the italicized F. Big fan of the block F. Used to be the 50-yard line logo, and I want that back.
Neither of them can hold a candle to the gator. To me, that's a great logo.
It's a great logo, and native species, like they're all over town. So
yeah, and you want
Auburn's pretty classic.
Game,
Auburn's pretty classic as well. I love the Auburn call God thing. I love that they got a hand signal and everything. Like, I'm so excited about this game. I think these two teams they're both great. They can both win the national title under the right circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard game to pick.
I'm going to go Auburn here just from a physicality standpoint. Like I was really impressed with how they played against Michigan State. And Michigan State, is a team that, they have a coach that has that team ready. I mean, say what you want about Tom Izzo. That guy has his team ready for the tournament games every single year, no matter how they did. And I thought Auburn outclassed them. Bruce Pearl's a more experienced coach, somebody who's been on this stage before. Like, I think Auburn's going to get it done.
So basically, we got to pick them here. It's 2.5-point spread. At the risk of being called a homer, give me the Gators.
Homer.
Because I don't think that physicality is going to make as big of a difference as you think, because they've seen this before. They've seen this level of physicality. They've played Tennessee 3 times. Like, they know how it feels to play against a very physical team. So I don't think that will be their downfall. If Florida loses because shots aren't going down, that's really it. So yeah, you got the Tigers. Give me the Gators.
And by the way,
we
did official picks, and I think I'm 1-0. So don't let the kid get hot is all I'm going to say. And if you don't know what the elevator challenge is, because I saw some people, you start with a bet, then if you win, you take your winnings and you double your bet until you get to like 4 or 5 floors up, and then you can cash out. And that's what I was trying to do over the weekend. I got to floor 4, and I was going to pay for a quarter of my car.
Michigan State couldn't hit the backdoor cover on you.
Yeah, and Michigan State lost by the hook. So, it happens, and that's part of the way it goes. But you know what? If we're going into baseball season, okay, and I like baseball season. I've got a fantasy team. There is no game more boring to bet on. I'll do it. I'm going to do it.
If I'm not
wrong. But NCAA tournament basketball might be the most fun sport. So you got to go big. We only have 3 games left, and I'm super excited to get down there. And Andy, I don't know what's going on with you because you don't like to bet like me, but you got to throw some shekels out there if we're gonna be watching these games together on Saturday.
I think we could probably pull that off.
I'll put it in for you, but I want you to put in enough money where you're sweating. I don't want you to be like, I don't care. I want you to sweat with me. I was sweating women's games yesterday.
50 cents. There's my unit right there. I'm just gonna throw quarters at Ari the entire night.
I want you to bet enough where your wife would be disappointed if you lost.
My wife's always disappointed in me, so this is nothing new.
Yeah.
Ari, big day on the show tomorrow. We were scheduled to be joined by Penn State football coach James Franklin. You got any questions for him?
I got a few.
Can't wait. He might have some questions for us. That's like the trademark of his press conferences. He'll just stop and start asking reporters questions. I wonder if he'll do that to us.
One time I got into a question back and forth with James Franklin at a media day. You know the tables of the media day?
Oh, yeah. At Big Ten, yeah.
After they would come off the podium, they would sit at the table for an hour, and I went back and forth with him about recruiting for like 15 questions. And it was somewhat contentious, even though it wasn't intended to be. And then somebody from a Penn State website wrote a column about how I was an asshole. This was in 2015. I wonder if James Franklin remembers it. It's 10 years ago.
It's interesting, too, because people don't always understand those back and forths. Like early in the YouTube era, there was one when Ian Rappaport, who's now at the NFL Network, was covering Alabama for the Birmingham News. He and Nick Saban engaged in a back and forth over, I want to say it was over signing. And Ian was not being hostile, and neither was Nick Saban, but people who don't understand Nick Saban's sense of humor thought he was. Like, Saban was messing with Ian. Ian was messing with Saban back. And people went berserk. They're like, I can't believe Nick Saban would talk to somebody like that. He's so disrespectful. And then, of course, the other side, he can't talk to Coach Saban like that. And meanwhile, those two are just laughing the entire way.
Yeah, like I feel like in the art of reporting that responses and back and forths are like lost. It's like not just a soundbite. It's how does the coach react to your question, which is a pretty important thing. So I don't even remember what it was about, and I wasn't being antagonistic at all. But I'll never forget that. And then I called the reporter who wrote the story the day later, and that got contentious.
I'm gonna have to look this up now. I gotta find this exchange.
I wonder if you can still
James
find
Franklin.
it. But yeah, I was red-faced screaming at him. Yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm even more excited. We'll talk to you tomorrow.